Hello, everybody. You're welcome to another Smart Investors Lodge market update. When we started this week on Monday, we looked at the three market events we are watching out for. We shared two of the major market events we watched out for. One include the PPI number, which Wednesday also related to looking at risk on assets, we're looking at understand market what to there from section network took me out briefly. Yeah, network took me out briefly, but I'm glad to be back. And also, what I was saying is, even if you're watching the replay of this video, feel free use the comment section and let me know something you would like me to talk about, something you would like me to analyze. In our coming market analysis session. So don't forget, if you're watching me live, go to the comment section and don't forget to type live. So let's look at something. Let's look at the available data that was released yesterday. We're going to do a little bit of some analysis. Just hang on. Having a little bit of a terrible time appropriating certain data. Okay. Yeah, someone is talking about network from my end. I thought the network has been fixed. I was aware that we're having a little bit of a bad network service, but I'm hoping that has been fixed. So please don't forget. Let me know. Let me know the rest of you who are here can watch live. Just let me know this. Yesterday, this is news from yesterday's CPI number. So this is from CoinGap. So the US CPI inflation rise to about 2.9% year on year. And let's look at what CoinGap said. So the August US CPI inflation have come in line with expectation, which further strengthened the case for a rate cut at next week FOMC meeting. So Bitcoin had sharply dropped on the back of that data release, but it's looking to hold above 114,000 level. So further, so the US CPI inflation came in line with expectation, but this was how Bitcoin reacted. The Bureau of Labor Statistics shows CPI rose to about 2 year last month in line with expectation. So the monthly CPI data came in at about 0.4%, just above expectation of 0.3%. So the core CPI inflation data were also in line with the expectation, rising 3.1% year on year and 0.3% month on month. So this development suggests that inflation remains steady and also support a case for a rate cut at next week FOMC meeting. So the price had sharply dropped on the back of that CPI release, falling below the psychological level of about 114,000. Okay, I hope I'm back. Sorry for that. Show. Okay, so let's do this. So we're looking at the data which dropped alongside with the CPI data, confirmed that the labor market is indeed back and is indeed weakening. So the weekly jobless claims jumps to about 263,000 as against 235,000, representing the highest figure since October 23rd, 2021. So of course there were market sentiment, across this data release. So market is settling for 25 basis point rate cut. Why? Although there are also some people looking at the 50 basis points, which looks very unlikely. However, What's our take on the CPI release? What's our take here at the Smart Investors Lodge as regard the CPI release? So first of all, we started looking forward to rate cuts by September, months before everybody thought that okay, we are going to have rate cuts. The next thing was even when some persons thought the market had already, reached the peak, we still believe, it's still our view that the bull run still have a longer way to go. However, we talked about the PPI number, that the PPI number was going to set the tone for what CPI number, and that was what happened. The PPI number gave us led to the 2.9% inflation release. And now we are sure with a very high level of certainty that next week, Wednesday, we are going to have a rate cut. But then, like we've always said, there are reasons why we're not expecting that all of this is going to lead to the market being in the kind of bullishness that we expect it to be. This is because all of these numbers led to a sell the news scenario. So, what do we mean by sell the news scenario? Institutional investors, like I've said, the only persons that are pushing rate cuts without a bit of paranoia are retail investors, because there are lots of institutional investors that started entering the market around 16, 17K, which we gave you all a good opportunity to enter at 16, 17K BTC, especially 24K BTC, when we kept saying all over and over again, look, this is time to still plant early. This is still time to enter the market very early. So these institutional investors, some of them are already seated at about 600% profit. They are using this as an opportunity to sell the news because they always social engineer and exit. You understand? So they are using this as an opportunity to sell the news into people who are FOMOing into the market. But of course, are there still capital that are entering the market? Yes, but most money is on the sideline. Why? Because rate cut does not equal cure to the economy. What rate cut is a quick fix. However, why I think there's less likelihood that we are going to have a 50 basis point cut, there are two likelihood that stands to play. One, we're going to have a rate cut by September, another rate cut by December. But then there is still also another possibility of having three rate cuts this year and not even two. So while this on its own leads to bullishness, the market still have some technical downside, probably that we will test, you know, before we could have another parabolic surge. However, if you're an investor who is dollar cost averaging into the market, these are your opportunities to be dollar cost averaging into the market. As a trader, we could bet prices, we take positions and bet in prices. However, as an investor, you have a very micro window, because when I'm looking at micro window, some altcoins have bottomed, many altcoins have capitulated, many altcoins are already building momentum for a surge that is going to follow. But then let's do a little bit of some technicals, in the market. So let's see. I'm trying to see the chats. Let me see those who are leaving comments. Probably the chat isn't opening, but then still do well. Leave your comments. Leave the comments behind. Let's do a little bit of some technicals right here, and we'll look for ourselves. Let's see how is Bitcoin reacting to the CPI numbers that was released. So hope the chart is being seen. So something happened beginning this week, just like for a long time we have showed you two things that we believe was going to happen on the market. First was when we told you this drawdown did not lead to. First of all, we had, you know, we had said we are in a range. So this has been the range, and we said there was nothing to be fearful of. And we had already told you we're going to have a bounce between the support and resistance of this range. But then we still called out possibility that we would test this level of the range. So there's still possibility that we will test this level of the range. But if you look at things that are happening at microeconomic level, the market is already bullish. But then will investors who are doing sell the news still lead to a downside? Yes. But of course, yesterday led us to coming into, we have tested 114 to close to even $115,000 after the CPI number was released. But then, what are we expecting? What are we expecting? There are two possibilities that is going to play in the market, moving forward. And one is this part, just like we had this. This is the first possibility I think is going to happen. I'm not taking this out. But then, being snake by careful, the market still have another scenario of doing this. Sell the news. Just like last money are actually selling, some smart money are also sitting on the sideline. So we're going to price in sentiment, lots of sentiment in the market. So we have two scenarios. This is scenario one. This is scenario two. So what should you be doing as a smart investor? The question is, as a smart investor, what should you be doing in the market? These are just your levels to start dollar cost averaging. You could dollar cost average, yeah, we get to this point. And even if we test this level, don't forget, like I used to say, support and resistance are not numbers. Smart support and resistance are level. You keep buying. However, we are only going to go bullish long. When I mean bullish long, there are certain times whenever there is momentum in the market and the trend is strong, what we always do at that point is that we go investment long, like we go investment long on the futures market. And then we use investment we use leverage that takes advantage of the trend. Although we don't do those extreme leverage trading where you do 40, 20, 100. No, 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 we don't. You could with a fair level of risks, do a maximum. What I always like to do for me is 10x, and I encourage people, only people who are already strong in the market, you could do between 7 to 10x, taking advantage of the trend. But we are only going to go long, and when it's time, we are going to let you know, especially those of you who are members of the Smart Investors Lodge Premium channel, that look, we are going long and these are the levels we are going long at. So either when it's been confirmed in the first scenario, which is scenario one, so let me highlight this for you. This is scenario one. I don't know. So I won't waste time. This is scenario one and this is scenario two. So once we are sure with a large level of certainty that we have capitulated and a new trend, we'll let you know we are going investment long. We'll also let you know the level, the leverage we are using at the premium channel. So we still have two scenarios playing out for BTC, probability of two scenarios playing out for BTC. But like I said since 2022 and early 2023, for this bull run, we're anticipating BTC will do a 100 to $45,000 to $150,000 BTC. So let's look at what's happening in Ethereum and why is it important we look at what's happening in Ethereum. Ethereum set the stage for alt. If you know what's happening on Ethereum, you're also going to know what's happening in alt. Meanwhile, I don't know, is there anybody watching us from TikTok? I don't know if whenever we go live on TikTok, it always reflects. So if there is anybody watching us live on TikTok, please let us know. I honestly don't even know how TikTok works. So let's do something else. Let's look at Ethereum and find out how is Ethereum playing out so far. Okay, so starting the week, I think we're able to spot an ascending channel here for Ethereum. And look, everything is playing out just like we did forecast. This is an ascending channel, and in it, we did spot this falling wedge. Wow. Hang on. Someone just sent me a message. Okay, I was responding to a message. So we spotted an ascending channel, then we spotted out an ascending a falling wedge. So what happens with falling wedge is that it always signals that sellers are getting exhausted and an upward continuation is about to begin. Let me be sure our screen can be seen. And I don't know if there's much more I need to do here. It's playing out just as we did predicted. So sellers got exhausted and buyers got in just like we projected. And it took us to as high as about $4,500 Ethereum. But we're anticipating between 4,700, so far. But for Ethereum is playing out just like we've anticipated. And I don't think I need to do any more work right here, right? Ethereum is just playing out. And but what does this mean for alt? What does this mean for alt? It means that capital inflow is coming into Ethereum. And just like there's something called liquidity flow. What is liquidity flow? Just like before now, the liquidity flow in the market always starts from BTC, Ethereum, other large market cap assets, and then we move to mid cap assets, smaller cap assets, and then everything pumps. But somebody will say, so what's happening? Why isn't it flowing this way? The thing is that the people who, to a large level of certainty, have influence on the market understands how retailers think. And the moment everybody can anticipate what will happen in the market, it means that it's no longer a game. So the moment everybody agree on a certain narrative, I want you to know that that narrative change. Don't forget, I've always said this over and over again. 90% of persons always lose money in the market. The only person consistently make money in the market is 10%. Funny enough, there are some persons who most time you enter into that 10%, you move back into even the 90%. And like I've always said, the moment you're thinking like everybody else in the market, it's time for you to review how you think. Lots of changes happen into the market. Institutional investors understand this is the narrative, this is the flow, and so there was a distortion in the narrative. And very early, just like we predicted 16, 17K, bottom of the last bear market, 24K as the beginning of the bull run, this was also the same way we let you know why everything pump is no longer the case. And we also gave you liquidity flow. We held a number of courses, live stream also to teach you how you could prepare for this. So this is our time, and let me find out if there are questions. If there are questions, I'm going to take one or two questions, before we call it a day. Oh, I still don't know. This is not popping up. Question is not popping up here. Let me try an alternative method. I could get feedback from all of you. Okay. Okay, Miss Felicity, yes, it's been fixed. Network, I can hear you. All right, so just before I call it a day, thanks everyone who showed to today's live stream. Those who also give us feedback right here, Mrs. Felicity Besson, Samuel Sampson, Joseph Isaac, and the best. Thank you for showing up and also engaging in our live stream. And those of you who also watch the replay of this session, do well, do well, do well, do well. Join our Discord community. Join our Discord community. Join the Smart Investors Lodge WhatsApp announcement channel. Join us all on our social media handle. Follow us on X. Follow us on Facebook. Engage, be part of the community, especially on Discord. Go to Discord, be part of the community, leave questions, be free to share insights if you experience. Take advantage of our trade calls, take advantage of investment research and analysis. And don't forget, if you must invest or trade the cryptocurrency market, make sure you're investing and trading smartly, my friend. I'm going to see you on our next video.